Yo, once again, I'm back, Ninja Turtle here, and one more DC custom here, as I mentioned in my Superman video, that I also made Batman. So we're going to go over this as quickly as possible, because a lot of this is not all that different from Superman. I mean, they're using the same body mold, so let's just go ahead and explain how I made this, and you guys can attempt to make your own. I will get back to how weird his face looks later on. So in general, this body mold is from the feet all the way to the thighs, the belts, the chest, the arms, etc. All of it is Retro Punisher, including the head. Retro Punisher came with two heads. One has a relaxed face and one has an intense face. So I went with intense face for Batman here, and then I used the relaxed face on Superman. So once again, if you're looking for the Superman, go check that video out. I did that one first. But yeah, this is all the Punisher. Everything from that Retro Punisher that is on this core body. So the key differences between that Punisher is this is the same belt that's on that Punisher, but Punisher has teeth, and that's what these are, the bottom parts of the teeth. But I cut the top parts of the teeth off, obviously, because that's all we needed. So that's just cut off with a X-Acto knife, and then repainted this gold color. And then everything else is the same. The bat symbol itself is sculpted on, so we do have that custom work there. I'm very happy how that turned out. It's not like exactly how, I think it's maybe a little too wide for how it's normally drawn, but I also have to, one, adapt to this body mold, and then work with my own skill and talent, and also I like the way it looks. So, but yeah, this is probably my favorite part of this whole custom is his chest symbols. But yeah, epoxy sculpt on there. It's not painted on, it is sculpted on and then painted on top of that. Continuing on, we do have some accessories there, so it's kind of hard to see here, but maybe we can turn it to the side. We got a batarang. So this batarang I cut out of a piece of plastic, which in this case, this is plastic that I made. I do make my own head sculpts or copies of them from time to time, and also just make some plastic to have for this exact reason. I just it's just a flat sheet of plastic that is thick enough for him to hold in his hand, and I cut it to shape. Actually, I drew it out with a little pen and then cut it out with some scissors. So it's relatively soft. The plastic type is, in particular, it is smooth on 45D, and I use that to, again, make copies of heads. This is an original Hasbro head, by the way, just modified, but we'll get to that in a second. But I use that for copying heads like my Psylocke head and White Rabbit and other characters, and then for other accessories and things like that. So not only did I do that for his batarang, but also for his claws, or whatever you call that, on his wrists. These pieces on his wrists there you go, you can see them. The fins, those are all the same plastic. That they're not done exactly to a mold or anything like that. I just kind of cut them and glued them onto the forearm, so those are glued on, and it is plastic. And same thing with his head. I did the same thing there. Those are just like triangles. Those didn't come out nearly as well as I hoped they would. And I mean, there's the triangles, they look fine, but I thought it would look nicer on his head than it actually does. And no, it doesn't look very good. His entire head, I am actually disappointed in how that turned out. Again, don't get me wrong, I'm an amateur, so it is what it is. But I do wish it looked a little bit better than this. Yeah, I mean, it's a custom. It's not taking any part from a DC character or anything like that. It's just using Marvel stuff, Marvel Legends stuff, and modifying from there. But this, again, this Punisher head is it normally has hair, and I think it may have had a bandana on it, and I first sanded it down with a Dremel to get the hair off, just to make it more of a round surface, and then epoxy sculpt to make the cowl. And I was going to use epoxy sculpt to sculpt the ears, but like my Catwoman, which I'll come back to, that felt like it was going to break off eventually, especially if he were to fall or something like that. The last thing I want to do is have some sculpted work on my figures and then they fall over from a tremor or just being lame and they fall over and break. So that's why I went with plastic and glued it on so that way it's more permanent. Again, I don't like the way it looks, but it's better this way. And hopefully the next time I make Batman, if I make another Batman, I'll make an improvement to the head. Lastly is his cape. So his cape, again, like with my Superman, I got that from eBay, the eBay store. But in particular, I am relatively certain it came from a Dr. Doom from Toy Biz, the Toy Biz Dr. Doom. And because it did have a hood attached to it and it had gold pieces on the front of the front of the hood here, front of the cape. So I guess it would be a cloak at that point. But I cut off the hood and I cut off the little gold bangles things there. And then at the bottom, we went ahead and just cut the bat things into there. So that's what that looks like. And then it was green. It's repainted black, and everything has a matte finish on it. So it turned out pretty decent. I think I would rather again have a better looking head. One other thing that, or I should say two things, with this particular build. First off, the left leg is super loose. It's just really loose. Just really loose. Like really badly loose. So I might fix this. It's not the biggest deal. He does stand just fine, but he does, it's just loose and I don't like it. So if I do fix it, if you do have like a loose joint, what most YouTubers Customize recommends that you take some Mod Podge, which I already actively use, Mod Podge, and add that to thicken up the joints there, and then it should help. I am a little reluctant on doing it, and I don't really need to. It's my custom, it's my collection. I'm not selling it to anyone or anything like that, so I'm not trying to make it perfect, and it's fine. It's not like it's affecting the figure whatsoever. Secondly, speaking of the Mod Podge, so one thing that I tried differently here, and I hope to have work out on other customs, is on joints in particular, the ones that hinge, so the wrist joint, and then on the ankles that connect to the feet. Normally I would add Mod Podge to all of that to seal the paint, but I didn't do that this time on the actual hinge of it. So what I'm talking about is this part here, this, where you would have the actual up and down for the foot or the back and forth for the hands. Normally I would add some sealer finish to that, but when that happens, I'll have to do it on one side, let it dry, and then flip to the other side and add that. But when I do that, it usually rips up the paint because it is just glue, and it'll just make it really nasty and shoddy. And I noticed that after painting this, I can still move it and it doesn't do any paint rub or paint tearing or stretching or anything like that. So why add the Mod Podge? So I'm thinking about not doing any sealer on any of the moving joints or things like that, just so it doesn't thicken up something that doesn't need to be, and also it doesn't add glue and then eventually have to be ripped up, and it ruins the joints and stuff like that. So it's working out perfectly here. So going forward, I think that's going to be something I do. I may test this out on the actual elbows and knees as well. I don't really have much paint rub to show for or to say in those cases, but I'm gonna have to test it out on a different figure. And then as far as the pins go on the knees and the elbows, I do have sealer and Mod Podge on that, and I do have issues with that as well. You can maybe see some paint rub, some paint tearing on here on this elbow, just trying to get it through there, and it's just tearing when trying to go through the hole, trying to put it back together. And it has a lot to do with heat, typically, because you have to heat this up just to get everything soft enough to pull in and out. But yeah, that's one of the things that I'm trying to learn to avoid and see if I can't fix that, because every time I put this through, it's really nerve-wracking, and I don't want the paint to continue to fray like it does when trying to put it back together. Anyway, that's Batman. Let's go ahead and do a quick Batman comparison. Oh, before we do that, I forgot. I did make a what's supposed to be a grapple hook gun, right? It doesn't really have a hook to it or anything like that, but it is repainted. This gun came from a it'd be nice. Hey, focus, nice. This gun comes from the Agent Carter from the Onslaught Build-A-Figure wave. Agent Carter, the blonde, SHIELD agent, Captain America's girlfriend in the present day. There you go. This really ugly, funky gun. So it's meant to be a grapple hook gun, and I just repainted it. It was like white or whatever. I don't really like it. It's something to have though, and he does have a Punisher hand, so he will be able to actually shoot this with his left hand and still hold his batarang with the right. I don't have him displayed with him holding the gun, and it does fit in his hand, but I don't feel like wrestling with it to get him to hold it, because it's hard enough as is. But he can hold that gun. So alright, let's get this comparison. Alright, here's my custom DC figure comparison collection for what it's worth. These are the only ones that I have currently finished. Superman, recently uploaded video on the channel on your left, Batman in the middle, and my Catwoman that I did a couple of months ago. And one thing to note, or several things to note, she does have glasses, just in case you didn't check out that video yet. She does have glasses, but they fell off when I tried to grab her for this video, and it's too much of a hassle for me to get them, so I just left them where they're at. But she does have goggles or glasses. Secondly, I haven't given her a whip yet, but I did just get the new retro black cat in, and she comes with a whip. So as soon as I open that package, I'm going to repaint that whip and give it to her so she can hold it in this hand, and she will have a whip. And this is just a custom Catwoman, and obviously they're all customs, but just a custom look for her, not something that is directly influenced by the comics. But if you're curious on her, she has a whole video just like Superman. Go check those out on the channel. And more DC characters are on the way for me. I do like the way they scale. Again, these two are using the same body. She's got heels on, that's why she's extra tall, but she would be a little bit shorter than Batman otherwise. The next DC character that I am currently getting prepared, haven't started, but I am getting prepared to do, is Batgirl and her Batgirl of Burnside costume. So Bat Family will be expanded very soon. The rest of the Justice League, I am starting to get things together for Wonder Woman. It's still probably going to be a little bit before I do it, but she will probably be the next Justice League member that I will be adding. So the Trinity will be completed very soon, and then the Bat Family will be extended very soon. And yeah, that's all I got right now. Again, subscribe for more so you can see those videos as they go up. And again, admittedly, I'm not a huge DC fan. I've honestly never even read a single DC comic book in my life. I've been collecting over the last few years, but I haven't gotten around to reading much anything. But it'll happen one day. My favorite DC character is Batgirl, so I am going to be very thrilled if she comes out looking as good as, honestly, Superman. Of these three, Superman's my favorite of these three customs that I've made, not necessarily the character. And Batman, as nice as I like his sculpt on his chest and the paint apps in general, he's my least favorite. I think I really like his cape and his chest bat the most, but I prefer still Catwoman over how my Batman turned out, and I'm going to make Catwoman look better than this the next time I make her. So there's that too. So make sure you guys subscribe for more of that, so you can see how better I make Catwoman in the future. I'm going to make a bunch of those, and then a bunch of Batgirls, and we'll see more Bat Family members, hopefully, I plan on, and then more Justice League members I plan on, and hopefully some villains too, because I want to have a pretty nice little DC collection going. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.